The Junghans Form C wristwatch. A very simple yet elegant wristwatch. But what does this wristwatch have to do with flip clocks? Let me show you. Welcome, flip clock fans, to this unboxing of the Junghans Form C. Now, I haven't wore a wristwatch in probably 15 or 20 years, so what I did was I bought this Citizen wristwatch, and it's got a chronograph here. You see, the second hand there, what we would call the second hand, is acting as a stopwatch. So in this watch, it's not a second hand, it's part of the chronograph function. So I wanted to see if I could stand it first before I went and pulled the trigger on a more expensive type of watch. So Junghans has some meaning around flip clocks. But I want to thank my wife, because I wasn't sure I wanted to spend that kind of money on a wristwatch, but she saw that I had looked at it on Amazon, so she went ahead and bought it for me. So I guess she loves me. But here it is. We're going to unbox this together. And like I said, it's called the Junghans Form C. You see a really nice looking watch there, really bright. The watch was released in 2017, and this press release here talks about it. Now, the particular model we have is designated as 041/4771.00. There's 4 different varieties there. Ours is the third from the left. The clock has a stainless steel case. Its width is about 40 millimeters, height of 10.5 millimeters. And here in the box, we'll take a look at this. This must be the company that is selling it on Amazon, and it's their guarantee. Guarantee for 24 months. Here's our manual. It says quartz movement. The quartz movement is designated J645.85. I'm not a watch guy, so I don't know what that means. The thing about it is, this is a quartz watch. Now, your watch aficionados, well, they lean more toward mechanical watches. The cool, mechanical. They've got the balance wheel. This is it's got a good movement to it. It's high quality stuff, but it's quartz. So your watch snobs may look down on it. But I've done a lot of reviews of these. I read a lot of reviews of these and watched a lot of YouTube videos. And this is considered a very nice watch. It's what they call an entry-level watch, or a mid-tier watch. Which means it's not your dad's Timex, but it's not a Rolex. So you see little information here. It says that the watch is water resistant up to 5 bar, which means 5 atmospheres. You really wouldn't want to use it as a diving watch. You wouldn't want to swim in it either, but it's going to hold up to splashes and rain pretty much. The case, the box here is really elegant. It feels like leather. I guess it's got to be faux leather, but all this just feels soft and nice. Hey, look at this. Got a nice, clear and clean look. Well, why did I get it? Well, because of the Plato Clock. The Plato Clock represents one of the earliest digital displays of time and holds place in the history of flip clocks, since many later flip clocks from the 1930s and in the 1950s, but especially in the 60s and 70s, are modeled after patents that led to the invention of the Plato Clock. The Plato Clock around here is known as the grandfather of all flip clocks. And while it is a distinctly American invention and design, it's known that 3 different German clock makers produced Plato clocks. In fact, it appears that the idea for the invention was pilfered early in the 1900s, and it is possible that production began in Europe even before it did in the United States. One of the German manufacturers was Gebrüder Junghans, in English the Junghans brothers. The Junghans Plato clocks could be found in both brass and nickel-plated brass cases. Many of the Junghans clocks included a trademark logo stamped on the top that reads "Ever Ready Kronos Clock." The company Junghans was founded in the Black Forest town of Schramberg in 1861, and early in its history made the interior clockworks for many other clock manufacturers. In 1903, Junghans was the largest watch manufacturer in the world with over 3,000 employees. The development of precision movements made the company the largest German manufacturer of chronometers in 1951 and the 3rd largest worldwide in 1956. In 1972, Junghans was the official timekeeper of the Olympic Games in Munich, setting new standards for timekeeping. In 1956, Max Bill designed watches in what's called the Bauhaus style that have become absolute classics. These are still produced today in nearly unchanged form. The Bauhaus design movement has been described as a counter-movement to the Art Deco and Art Nouveau styles. Bauhaus artists and designers utilized linear and geometric forms, while floral or curvilinear shapes of the previous art movements were shunned. Only line, shape, and color as they related to function mattered. Anything else was considered unnecessary and needed to be reduced. The company now is referred to as Uhrenfabrik Junghans, and Uhrenfabrik translates to watch factory. So you see I've got the stopwatch running here, that long hand that just hit the top there. So that's down here is your seconds, but up top there, that's going to be your stopwatch function. And the dial at the top there records the elapsed minutes. So we'll stop it here. And it's got a nice firm snap when you stop it. And that's the reset button down here at the bottom. Now you see the elapsed minutes has to go all the way around for some reason. It won't go backwards. But it's just kind of a cool little bit of gee-whizzery, I think. I think it just looks cool. You see that the face is what's called, it looks white, but they call it a galvanic matte silver plate finish. And it kind of, it helps it fight glare to me, it seems like. So it looks white, every bit white, but it's got a kind of a metallic look to it. And in the bright sunlight, it actually does really well. It actually is easy to see while you're driving. It's a good driving watch. You know, the strap is just feels luxurious. It's soft. It's cool to the skin. It's a calfskin strap and has a stainless steel buckle. On the back here, we see that it's got a sapphire crystal. Sapphire crystals is considered a crystal for a high-end watch. So normally it's mineral glass or acrylic or plastic, but this watch features the sapphire. It's a very scratch-resistant watch. You can see it's got a kind of a concave shape to the dial. So that concave shape just gives it a little depth. And the concave, it can also be seen in the two additional dials, you know, one for the elapsed minutes and the one for the seconds. So there's a lot of detail. At first it's very simple looking, but there's a lot of detail. And it rides out, like I said, when you're using it, when you're out, you can easily pick up on the numbers. It's easy to read the stopwatch function. Very functional, and like I said, very classy. I was thinking about going up to random people and seeing what they thought about it, but it didn't really work out very well. I thought that would be neat, but I just couldn't get the nerve to do it. I've got a wristwatch now that has a little bit of history to it. It does relate to flip clocks in a strange way. I'm going to do everything I can not to become a watch guy because I don't think I can afford it.